I want to do our first introduction this morning, and the person I'm going to introduce now doesn't really need an introduction. Most of you guys know him, but we're going to give him one anyway because he deserves it. From 1994 to 2009, Dan served as president of the American Land Foundation and now serves as the CEO of the merged association, American Stewards of Liberty. Dan is a writer, a speaker, and a part-time lobbyist. Dan has served as a legislative aide to the Texas State Senate, to a Texas state senator, leaving to become a lobbyist for agriculture with the Texas Farm Bureau, Farm Credit Bank of Texas, and briefly for the Independent Cattlemen's Association of Texas. Dan has represented landowners' interest in New Mexico, Texas, and Washington, D.C., while at the Farm Credit Bank of Texas. While at the Farm Credit Bank of Texas, Dan produced 2 award-winning documentaries showing how environmental laws encroach on individual freedoms and private property, destroying property values and personal wealth. Dan graduated from the University of Texas with a journalism degree specializing in public relations and has a law degree from South Texas College of Law. He is a 4-year tennis letterman for the University of Texas, and Dan is married to Margaret Byfield and has 4 children and 2 granddaughters. Dan also is one of the neatest guys that I've ever met. I can see his influence in a lot of what goes on, just like in these productions like this, and the way that he can put to words things that a lot of us maybe know are bad, but he has a better way of saying it sometimes. And it's with much respect, I want to introduce a dear friend, Dan Byfield.
Oh, it's right there. Okay. Is it on?
Yes.
Is this on? Will all the speakers that are going to be on this panel come on up? Wade and Theresa and John, Bethany, Stephanie, Debbie, not Bethany, Stephanie. Y'all come on up. Y'all just take a seat. I'm going to...
Just any seating order?
Nope, there's no seating order. I tell you what, yeah, let me sit down here.
Man, no, you should be in the middle.
That's okay. Here, you're going to be first.
Oh, jeez.
No. Well, good morning, everybody. That film was really the West Fort Worth management team who's running the show out here produced that for us, and it's the second video they've produced for us, and I think they've done a great job, and we've used their work in that regard with a lot of our issues, so we really want to thank them for everything they've done for American Stewards of Liberty. We've got a big panel here. I had one added. I haven't even met. You're the one I haven't met. Dan got in here late last night and was put on our panel. So I'm going to do the best to introduce him as I can. I don't want to waste a lot of time because we only have an hour, and everybody's got about 12 minutes. So the first person I'm going to introduce is right to my right, Stephanie Cross. Stephanie is with Tennessee Realty. What is it?
Tennessee Real Properties.
Real Properties, and she came to us several months ago with an issue that developed into this national scam on how these online realtor sites are using specific data, climate data, to destroy the value of people's properties. And that's the reason Stephanie got in touch with us. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to let you go ahead and explain the rest of it.
Okay, you'll have to bear with me. My heart's racing. I know the story well, but I'm gonna reference my notes some too, just so that I make sure I stay on track with my bullet points. But I'm the broker and owner of Tennessee Real Properties. Well, it's United Country Real Estate, Tennessee Real Properties. I'm also a licensed broker in North Carolina. And March of last year, I've got a property in North Carolina there, and my seller called me, all upset. He's in his 80s. He and his wife were in their 80s, and called me and he said, "Stephanie, I was looking at Zillow today, and I saw at the bottom of the Zillow report that they've got my property as a 9 out of 10 flood risk." and that they cited that flood insurance is recommended. Well, one thing I do and make sure with all of my properties is do overlays and look into to make sure there's nothing in the FEMA floodplain. And although he does have creeks, he's not in the FEMA floodplain, nor was he affected by or had any damage from Hurricane Helene. So I don't put too much confidence in Zillow, however the general public does, but I said, let me go check it out. I've not heard of anything like this. And sure enough, I scrolled and saw that it was saying there's this company, First Street, that Zillow has aligned themselves with, and it said that it was a 9 out of 10 flood risk, and that they were citing that flood insurance was recommended. And I said, David, let me get right on this and tell them to take it down. This is incorrect, and furthermore, as brokers, we could lose our license over putting wrong data out like that. So surely they'll take it down. And I didn't even think of a land grab at that point. It was just get it off. So I sent an email on our behalf saying, get this off. The longer it sits on it, the more damaging it's going to be. And if you don't, there's going to be further recourse. And 30 minutes, and I mean 30 minutes later, I got an email from my farm and ranch site that I also list properties on. And the email stated it was just a gentleman's name and said, we're interested in this property. Can you put buildings on it? And could you call us? And I thought, well, my first thought was, well, God's going to do it anyway, in spite of what they're doing. Although, and I'm going to have him play a video in just a minute on the property because it's going to kind of frame everything up. But so at that point, I called them and just kind of had just after talking to them, just for a minute or two, I just kind of, and call it discernment, the Lord just giving you that sense you need to pay attention to this, that there was something hokey, and to the timing with 30 minutes after I complained, because I didn't even get a response back from Zillow, nothing. So anyway, I called him, and he, asked me again. He said, we're interested in this. Can you put buildings on it? I said, look, this is a $6.2 million luxury estate, kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's got a just under 8,000 square foot home, and although it's unrestricted, you can do what you want on it. It doesn't really lend itself to commercial, and buildings. And I said, do you mind me asking what your business is and what, and what your intentions are? And at this point, I have him on speaker, ready to Google, just to see. And he said, we're a nonprofit. And the name of the company was the Civilization Research Institute. Well, immediately my thought was, this sounds like some woke wackadoodle organization. And I said, can you tell me a little bit about, what exactly you do? And he rattled off some long answer, but one of the things he said was academic policy for the government. And I thought, okay, well, this will be interesting. As he's talking, I'm scrolling, and I pull their website up, and at the very bottom, one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals from the World Economic Forum was at the bottom and cited. I thought, bingo, I see you. And of course, I didn't let on that I knew, but at this point, that's when my education from the meeting that I was in 2023, the Stop 30 by 30, and I didn't let on that I knew, but I did say to him, if you want to see the property, I'll show it to you, but the property is on sale. It's not, it's for sale. It's not on sale. I just wanted to signal to him that if you think that you're going to come in and try to devalue these properties with this false information, you've picked the wrong cowgirl to mess with. So anyway, at that point, I picked up the phone and I called Margaret, and I said, I feel like this is a land grab. And she kind of, and I'd text her some different things, and the company, she looked up the company as we were talking, the Civilization Research Institute, and she said, this absolutely sounds like a land grab. And at that point, she said her and Dan would get on it, and I also had met Craig Rucker and Mark Morano in that meeting back in 2023, the Stop 30 by 30, and I said, well, it's not in my nature just to sit still. I started doing my own investigative research, and so I sent a message to Mark Morano on X, and I shared everything with him, and I said, What are your thoughts? I've talked to Margaret. She says 100%. I think this is a land grab. He messages me back and said, I've always thought something like this was happening, but the way you've laid it out, is really incredible. I think you're onto something. I'd like to get you connected with Kevin Mooney. He's an investigative reporter out of D.C. He's with the Daily Signal and Restoration News, and from that point, it was a little bit of a slow process because obviously these investigative reporters have other articles they're covering, and usually current news takes. So that kind of got the ball rolling, but I did forget, and I knew I probably would. But if you'll just kind of like roll the clip, am I doing okay on time? Oh, yeah. Okay, can you roll the clip on my seller's property?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Oh. This will just kind of frame some things up just about. Although you see water on this, he's not in the FEMA floodplain. He does have creeks, but he's not in the FEMA floodplain. But he has a remarkable piece of property.
I'm Stephanie Cross, United Country Real Estate. Welcome to one of North Carolina's finest properties. With over 7,500 square feet and 128 acres, this property is truly one of a kind.
So, and I don't know how familiar a lot of you guys are. I'm based in Tennessee. As I said, I'm also a broker in North Carolina. But, North Carolina possesses a lot of minerals. It's one of the nation's leader in minerals and lithium. And I don't know how much you followed during Hurricane Helene. There was a lot of, I don't want to call it conspiracy because I have my thoughts on and weather manipulation and other things. But there's a lot of stories and discussion on what took place. But my seller's property had no damage from Hurricane Helene. Yes, you saw creeks, you saw water, but again, as I said, not in the FEMA floodplain. But so we got the ball rolling with the investigative report, which I really appreciate you, Mark, and Craig, obviously the Byfields, for jumping in and supporting Bill Dolbow. So moving forward, the properties had unnecessary length of time on the market as a result. We had buyer interest drop off. We had canceled showings. At this point, nobody would take it down. We've been left with, so moving forward, my seller's son was able to contact Zillow, and they took it off face value. And as a matter of fact, the link is still there, but they took off the flood data. Now, I don't know if they were able to trace, somehow me back to the investigative report, and that's why they did it. But they are still doing this. This is systemic. It's happening across the nation. Right before I got here, probably 2 weeks, I got it. I have to go back and look at my notes here. I got a Facebook message from a random couple out of West Virginia that said that this is happening to their property. They had found the investigative report that I posted on Facebook. Could I help them? And this is in West Virginia. So at this point, there's been somewhat of a retreat because there have been some individual lawsuits, but they've taken it off of the face of Zillow. And I think I was going to have you just roll the clip. I forgot, or it's not a clip, but pull up the Zillow so they can kind of see, what this looks like. So we had to reduce the price from 6.2 million to 5.8. That's okay. Anyway, it'll just give them a general idea. So you can just keep scrolling. And at the bottom, you're going to see climate. Let's see, you're getting there. Okay, climate risk. So the only difference is now, whereas before it said plainly 9 out of 10, when they do three different climate risk or modeling, and that's for air quality, flood, and fire. So you can click on First Street rather, and once you click, that's where you're going to see, data for that specific property. Well, any savvy buyer or broker, naturally out of curiosity, is going to click that. So the damage, it's still there, it's still happening, and I'm not going to stop talking about it. These clients are like family to me, and my seller's, he's going to be 85 this year. During that time, his wife was battling cancer. She lost her fight to cancer. They were trying to sell to get to Georgia so they could be closer to their boys. So I'm outraged. I'm angry. I'm angry every day because now we're showing all this unnecessary time on the market that wasn't a result of it just can't sell. We had the interest, but between the point of when they put this on and when I caught it, the damage was done. And just recently, within a month or two, my seller's son was able to get them to take that flood. But there's others that aren't having success. I think they somehow linked me, that I'm on to them because they're not taking it down for others. But I appreciate you guys.
Did you tell them the low ball?
Oh, yeah, there's so much to unpack. So at this point, when they wouldn't take it down, I reached out through our MLS, and we can have it where it doesn't populate over, to these real estate platforms. And I thought, well, if they won't take it down, I will tell them, or I'll check off the box that I don't want it to populate over. Well, when I did, Zillow puts that it's off market. They use my thousands of dollars worth of media and my listing description, and they put that it was off market and that it was a $465,000 property, which was outrageous because A, it wasn't off market. You're using my media, you're using my listing description, and they don't speak to you. And through my investigation, I learned that Zillow's largest shareholders are BlackRock and Vanguard. A lot of people don't know that. They want to control the real estate. We got EPA and ESA. Okay, I'm over. But now this is another attempt. But I want to thank Margaret and Dan. Let's just say real quick that we need to, I like to say, pray attention instead of pay attention. We need to ask God to give us eyes to see and ears to hear, because this is another attempt of a land grab that doesn't involve the EPA and ESA. They're going to control the real estate market through climate manipulation. So thank you, guys.
Okay, we're going to go next to Wade and Theresa King. They're from Washington State. They've been members of ours for a while. They've got land in the state of 17,000 acres. They're a fourth-generation ranchers. About 13,000 acres of their land is state-owned. And I'm just going to let y'all take it from there and just tell us briefly.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Dan and Margaret for inviting us here. Dan, I want to really compliment you. Whenever I called Dan to talk to him, he's very gracious, kind man. He'd answer the phone, or if he didn't answer the phone, he'd call me back very shortly. I just really appreciate you, Dan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Another person that's really rose to the top is Shad Sullivan. Thank you very much, buddy. The guy's really stepped up. First time I'd ever been to D.C. was on Wednesday morning, Tuesday night. We flew. First time I've been east of Montana. And Shad knew that, and he was my chaperone back there, helping me around. So that's the highlight of this. That trip back to D.C. was sharing that with Shad, and now I'm here in Texas for the first time. Yeah, thank you very much. So, real short, our deal is we're just cleaning out stock ponds, just like generations before us. We're just cleaning them out. The state's come after me, the Department of Ecology. They're calling it environmental damage. And it's just crazy. It's very ironic that the state does the same thing and they call it restoration. But if I did it, it's damage. It's just destruction. We've been doing this for 5 years, and in litigation now for 5 years. They get you in an administrative loop, and it's just, you have to prove your innocence. And it all started with Google Earth. They're basically looking at your properties through Google Earth and seeing if there's been any type of change there, and then they'll come after you. But what our state is just like what the Clean Water Act provides as far as creation and maintenance of stock ponds. We have the same exemptions in our state for stock watering, but they're completely ignoring that and are just coming after us just because we're in a blue state with the blue court system, and they're taking advantage of that. So there's two ways to fight this. I see it, is that through the courts or through the political side. And folks, you all know this. If President Trump hadn't won the election, we wouldn't be here. None of us would be right. We maybe have this meeting, but if President Trump hadn't won, we'd be in a world of hurt. And then to get Secretary Rollins in this position that she's in and helping us, what a godsend. What a godsend. And just have been talking to the Department of Interior, the USDA, the DOJ, just a lot of people are stepping up now, some powerful people at the federal level. But we're just still having this disconnect between federal and state, and they're just having button heads here and trying to figure that out. Well, you know, same thing like with sanctuary states and city, it's the same thing. It's just in a different level.
Wade, explain how you've asked Brooke Rollins to help you and what happened when she did with the state.
Well, when Brooke got involved here, and after Brooke put out the tweet there and called out the state really doubled down on us. They really came at us with a vengeance. Then they really irritated them, and they were gonna make a point of really hurting us. And we had, back when we were looking for local attorneys to help us out with, we got a legal firm out of Seattle. I won't name them, but anyway, as soon as Brooke did her announcement, man, they dropped us. They just said, we are not going to be part of this. We don't want the collateral damage. And that's just a big thing. And I've found out with a lot of these attorneys, they just don't want to, through the bar associations or whatever the case may be, their heart isn't in it like the Dan and Margaret and some of the good people here. And that's the big thing is the good people. That you have to have good people and their heart in the right place to help you. But Brooke did this for us. We knew this because the chance it was going to take, but it's just, we had to do it. We had to do it, and we're appreciative that she did that for us. We're not done yet, though, either. It's just coming to a head. I just feel that something's gonna break.
Explain, out of the 17,000 acres you own, how many acres does the state own? And explain the stock watering pond issue that they're forcing you to deal with.
Well, it's just like anything else. I brought this up to a lot of people, and most of the people, I think a lot of people here in Texas and across the West for sure, understand that if you don't clean out these stock ponds, because they keep silting in, it's just a natural event. They just, from water carrying silt into them, if you don't clean them out, it's also can be airborne in our area from dust storms. You don't clean them out, you just lose your volume. You have to clean them out, get the silt out of them, and hopefully get into your groundwater. That's the point, get into your groundwater. That's how you maintain your stock water. If you don't have stock watering, we're into grazing. If you don't have stock watering, you don't have grazing.
Okay, so explain though what the state said those stock watering ponds were.
Stock watering, they claim there were rare, critical, alkali wetlands. They did everything they could to just dramatize it all. And it's just like we said, you know, it doesn't matter. A wetland is a wetland, and there's a strict regulatory criteria for a regulated wetland. I mean, it has to meet those three parameters, all three parameters for it to be a regulated wetland. And I didn't know about all this stuff ahead of time. I've just been doing what we've been doing for generations out there, just cleaning out stock ponds. And they've never come at this. The other thing, Department of Ecology in our state has never come after anyone, any of my neighbors or anyone that I'm aware of. And that's one of our FOIA requests, public records requests. To date, they haven't come forth with those records to show that they've ever done anything like this before. But they're calling them wetlands. And it's kind of like the Endangered Species Act. A wetlands and the wolf is a dirty word to us.
Okay, so how many lawsuits are opposing you right now?
Oh, there's at least 5 different lawsuits, did back and forth. As far as, we got what, in the federal level in the 1983, but we got to go through the state courts here first. Right now we're in the administrative tribunal. I don't even call it a court, Dan. It's really not a court of law. It's quite the deal where you get in there and you start reading some of what they can and cannot do. They can't make constitutional decisions. One of the things, if they don't have the authority to make that decision, they just don't make the decision. Recently there was a U.S. Supreme Court decision within the last couple of years on the jury demand. You can demand a jury at the administrative tribunal level if it's for the punitive side, if that makes sense. If it's on penalty, you can ask for a jury. And that was a recent U.S. Supreme Court decision.
So where are your cattle now?
The cattle right now are still on the winter stocks, corn stalks. They're not on any of the land that's affected.
So when do you normally turn them over onto the state's land?
We normally turn out March 15th.
And you're not going to be able to do that.
Well, we're doing everything we can to get that done.
Okay, so we were talking earlier, and your legal counsel dropped you. Who do you have representing you now, though?
We've had Tony Meacham has been with us all along. She's been our family friend, and she's a young gal, but she's a rancher. She's been with us the whole time. We brought in another single shield guy, but Jamie Griffo, who's been the lead attorney now. And after we got dropped by the big firm, we were able to pick up another single shield guy.
So you have 2 legal representatives, right?
We actually have 3, and now we got 4 again now.
Okay. And
Yeah.
how are you paying for all this?
How are we paying for all this? But making payments.
So I was told that y'all are not, who had set up a fund for y'all to help you with legal costs?
Yeah, Theresa.
Our attorneys figured out how to put together a square space or something like that and created a website for us. And they can give
We've got this
donations.
on screen. Can y'all put that up for Wade and Theresa? And if anybody in here wants to help these folks, they are fighting this fight on their own. They've spent an untold amount of money, and they need help. So if there's anybody in here that wants to contribute to help them with their legal costs, we would greatly appreciate y'all doing that for them.
And Wade is 4th generation. His great-grandfather homesteaded in a neighboring county in 1904. And so he is 4th. Our daughter Jennifer is here. Please wave. And our youngest daughter here has a little boy. So we are 4th, 5th, and 6th generations living and working on the ranch.
She's the one back there working on the ranch right now, calving the heifers and doing everything at home right now on 600 cows. So.
Okay, so you also told me that you have to access the state lands to get to some other deeded property?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
It's effectively basically excluded us from some of our in-holdings on our property.
So you're not able to get to it?
No.
And so your cattle are on your acreage, your deeded acreage right now?
They're on leased ground corn stalks.
On leased, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So you're not having to feed them, you've got corn stalk?
Yes.
Okay, good.
We supplement them on corn stalk, so too.
Okay, well,
But one other point I want to make, Dan, is
Please.
basically we're not here just for us. We're here for everybody, all the other Washington, the people, farmers and ranchers back there dealing with Department of Ecology, because Department of Ecology is the largest agency in the state, and they are by far the most aggressive, and they're after our property.
Yeah.
It's this common theme in everything I'm hearing at this conference so far is they're taking our private property rights. We're a first in time, first in right state, and they're trying to take our water rights from us, and effectively that would end our property uses, our land values.
Well, I promised Wade and Theresa this morning, and Margaret, you need to know this. And Becky, if you can help me with this too, I'm going to call Jim Burling at Pacific Legal, and they had the person who tried the wetlands case that won it at Supreme Court. I'm going to talk to him, and we're going to see if they'll represent the Kings. But if y'all can all get involved, that would help. And Margaret, your connections at USDA might help too, because to get Jim and Pacific Legal at least to help them. So anyway, we're going to do what we can to help y'all.
And I agree, greatly appreciate it.
And if I could add one more thing, when this all broke, it was the satellite imagery. On day 2, they turned it over to the Environmental Protection Division of Washington State. It was Bob Ferguson, who is now our governor. And they subpoenaed our ranch employee, to question him about our ranch activities. And when they came at us so hard, we all were quiet. They didn't like that. They drug him into court 4 times, trying to compel him to talk about our ranch activities. During that time, I forgot what I was going to say. We were all under criminal investigation, and they were threatening us with felony charges and fines. And this is their new playbook.
All right, well, we're going to help y'all, and we need to move on, but thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go to John Swartout next. John, do you have any slides you're going to show? I'm sorry, I didn't know we had so many. Okay, well, John, this is John Swartout. He's from Colorado, and he's with the, is there a United Wolf Coalition? Correct. That you lead, and you're fighting the wolf issue in Colorado, which is a follow-up basically to our film we just showed. So, John, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, and it's such an honor to be here. And before I start, I just want to say some thank yous. You saw the film right after breakfast, and Margaret and Dan were the answer to a prayer, telling these landowners stories in Colorado, and people have just showed up. Once we decided to fight, people have just showed up. And Margaret, God bless you. We couldn't have even begun to try to project what's happening in Colorado without your help. You and Dan are a blessing. Thank you. The movie went through a lot of what I won't repeat. In terms of what happened with Colorado's wolf reintroduction. And I've spent my whole career, Commissioner Perry Wills in the audience, working with the Wildlife Agency. Either I worked for a governor or a U.S. senator, working with landowners. And I started, and Margaret said this yesterday, I started when Grazing Free in '93 and the Al Gore and the Clinton administration and the war on the West. I started my career, and we in Colorado thought there had to be a better way. We'd rather have a partner than an adversary, and we partnered with Ag, and we partnered with them to keep things off the endangered species list. I put my whole life into that work. And lo and behold, a governor comes into office from Boulder, Colorado, which is where the University of Colorado is. And I think it was hard to believe at first, but that there's really someone that wants to destroy agriculture and end hunting in our state. And, I have this saying, there's none so blind as the decent. And landowners are God-fearing, decent people, and it was hard to believe that someone was out there to destroy your livelihood and out there to take hunting and fishing away from people in our state. It was incomprehensible. No, to go to the extent where they would wipe out agriculture in our state, they would, and they're doing it. So our governor has given a platform within his office to radical environmentalists who are doing just that under the name of rewilding. And their goal is to eliminate these people that work the land from the land. And my question always has been, knowing federal land so well and having spent so much time on federal land, that wildlife habitat is far superior on private land. If we force these people out of business, the wildlife habitat will be damaged for generations and gone. Wildlife corridors are gone. It's our intact landscapes that are privately owned that provide wildlife habitat in our state. That's the bottom line. And so we put a coalition together, kind of unprecedented. I've been in politics my whole life. I've run campaigns, and I understood that, agriculture is a minority in Colorado. Having agriculture voices speak out is effective, but it won't turn the tide. So we added people that hunt to the list. We added county commissioners on the West Slope and Front Range and rural areas of our state to the list. We added wool growers. We added cattlemen. We added Farm Bureau. We added outfitters. Everyone that had a stake, we added to this coalition with the goal of speaking with one voice. We're powerful. And even though the Front Range has been overtaken by people moving in from California and other places that didn't learn the lesson from destroying their state, we have created a kind of a synthesis around power of speaking with one voice, and we've made a difference. And in part of that, and I've always insisted on this, it's a Martin Luther King strategy. Don't be defined by what you're against. Be defined by what you're for. And that orientation shift is that we tell landowner stories. Brad and Mike, who are part of the film, I talk to them every week when they're under wolf attacks. And we not only tell their stories, but we bring that message to the Front Range where all the urban voters are in Colorado, and find a way to get into something they understand. They love dogs, and wolves kill guardian dogs, and wolves kill ranch dogs, and we put pictures of those dogs everywhere, and we built a coalition with the press. We have reporters that tell the truth, as you could tell from the video, and we have maintained an organized presence at the state capitol, within the media. We've talked to U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We've talked to the Trump administration. We're relentless, and we're gaining power. And just recently, our governor was trying to find a source for wolves for this season that starts, end of December, beginning of January. And we sent our folks, our coalition is so broad, the Washington Fish and Game Agency had a vote to decide if they were going to give Colorado wolves. And we were able, through people in our coalition, to talk to activists, pro-wolf activists, that no, we can't give wolves to Colorado because they abused them with this botched reintroduction that was designed to be a botched reintroduction because they're using it to try to eliminate agriculture. Bottom line. And so they voted 8-1 to turn down Colorado, to give Colorado wolves. We worked with our Indian tribes in Colorado to talk to tribes in Oregon, and they said no to wolves. Then finally, Brian Nevsek, the head of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, stepped in and said, Colorado's been getting wolves from British Columbia. We're going to close that down too because it's not legal in context of the Endangered Species Act, delegated authority for Colorado to release wolves. And so we've prevented them from putting wolves on the ground in this season. We still are worried the governor's term limited out next January, that he'll try to put wolves on the ground in December and January of next year. And so we're in the fight, and we've had successes. But one thing I want to say, you saw her in the video, Lauren Dobson, that Margaret played. She embodies the spirit of Winston Churchill. We will not give up. We will fight, and we will fight, and we will fight, and we'll outlast these people, because people of Colorado, deep in their DNA, know that cooperation and partnership is better than these Marxists imposing this rewilding on our state. And there were times we got things done legislatively in a legislature that's stacked against Republicans in an enormous way. And we even convinced Democrats to side with us. Until the programs are in place for landowners, no more wolves. Our budget committee, dominated by Democrats, were able to do that in part. And they were partial victories, right? Because the governor still maintained the ability to put wolves on the ground. But, you know, I was there late at night, and all the lobbyists from the premier ag organizations had walked away. And it was just Lauren and I standing there, and I said, I will not step aside. I will not give up, because I spent my whole life working with landowners, convincing them that partnership and collaboration was the way to go. And I can't walk away from them. They're my family. I can't walk away from that. And we've now created a model, because separate in silos, I mean, the Farm Bureau never worked with the cattlemen's, and the outfitters didn't work with anyone, and we found a way to bring them together. They're the power of this coalition, I'm just a facilitator of it, but they're the power of this coalition. But now they're starting to understand, when we speak with one voice and we stand up and we say, no, you shall not pass. And we're going to outlast this governor, and we're going to beat the crap out of him.
Hey, John, we're going to have to move on, but I have one question.
Yeah.
They moved these wolves from the northeast part of the state to y'all,
Yeah.
and can you get them to move them from where they are now to backward Canada, where they came from, or Oregon?
Yeah, you know, that's a hard question. Is we've got probably 40 or 50 wolves now. They have 4 and 5 pups. We're going to have a substantial population. They almost double every year. And so the hard part about this is, and I think Margaret and Dan, you'll understand this, we need the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's help to prevent our governor from doing continued damage. But we don't really want, we've always been states' rights people, and we love our Colorado Parks and Wildlife folks that have been interfered with. Scientific wildlife management has been interfered with by a narcissistic, sociopathic governor that we have. And so we need to think that we can maintain state control, but we need the help of the federal government, almost like an employee. You put them on a corrective plan, right? And we take those decisions away from the governor and appoint an overseer for a very short period of time to ensure what was supposed to happen that didn't happen with these landowners. And but there's that balance. We don't want Fish and Wildlife Service to take over the program. My worst experiences in my life are dealing with the broken promises coming from the Fish and Wildlife Service. We love our Colorado Parks and Wildlife. We just need to get the governor the hell out of the way.
Okay. All right, John. I appreciate it very much. We'll have time for some questions, I hope. Dan, you were going to go next, but I'm going to call it audible. You're going to be on the next panel that we're going to have. I've been told, I didn't make the decision, so you're going to be in front of everybody twice, okay? That's okay. All right, so Debbie Bachigalupi.
Clear the stage.
Yeah, we are. She's got some slides that she needs to show, so if everybody would.
No, don't leave the stage.
No, don't leave. Except Dan, if you want to leave.
Well, that's my contact. Oh,
I didn't introduce you, but
yeah,
you
okay.
can introduce yourself. It's
no,
fine.
go ahead, please.
Okay.
I'd love to hear what you say about me.
Oh, well, I know that you've been an activist. You own a ranch in California. You're what, 6th generation? You've created a couple of documentaries, right? And you fought the dam removal issue, and now you're fighting the wolf issue.
Thank you.
How's that?
That's pretty darn good.
All right,
Thank
you take over from here.
My name's Debbie Bachigalupi. Here's my contact information. If there's any questions or you want to talk about this situation further, please feel free to reach me at any time. To the left here is my family's crest, family crest. And believe it or not, my last name, Bachigalupi, means wolf hunter, wolf wounder, wolf slayer, and kiss of the wolf. And it is not anytime soon that I will be living up to my last name, because in California, if you kill a wolf or harass it, there's a great big fine. If you kill a wolf, it's up to a $100,000 fine and up to a year in jail. My first, how do I want to say this? My first experience, devastating experience, was back in 2013. Prior to that, in 2010, in Siskiyou County, the most northern county in California, was told that it's not a matter of if there would be wolves in California, it's a matter of when. In 2011, the famous OR7 called Journey, he made his way into Siskiyou County, and things changed for us forever. I ended up visiting this, this is an historic 176 sheep pileup. This is in eastern Idaho. It's just close to Wyoming in the Caribou-Targhee National Forest. And it was amazing to be, this was 3 days after the wolves, 2 wolves had pushed this herd off a cliff at night. So the wolves didn't really kill them, but they pushed them, and as a result of the wolves, that they did die. The interesting thing about this, this herd is that it had 2 full-time Peruvian range riders, 4 full-time guard dogs, and 4 full-time herding dogs. And they weren't far from where this happened. My next devastating moment with wolves was showing up to a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service public hearing where there were over 400 bussed-in pro-wolfers, all probably wearing livestock byproduct. And I made the Sacramento Bee. My parents were there too. My parents, by the way, my dad's 84 and my mom is 81, and they still kick butt. My mom's on the back of the hay truck while I'm here. In fact, I just got a text. Every morning, my life starts off with a text around this time in California. And I just got a text, and it's kind of like, wow, I can't believe I'm on the stage here. And I got this text saying that, and you can see where the wolves are in California right now. You can go to, you could look up CDFW, as in California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and you can go to the wolf tracker map, and you can see where all the colored wolves are in California at one point in the day. And so every morning around this time in California, I get a text from our wolf liaison telling us, I have a group of 20 in my text group, all ranchers, telling us approximately where the wolves are, because they can't tell us where they are, right? So I get a text saying, I'll show you a map in a bit, and you'll see where the wolves are right now. So this was kind of memorable because my dad got up and like probably all of us, he dislikes, public comment. That's your greatest 2 minutes of your life, and it's so frightening. And as soon as he announced that he is a cattle rancher, the whole room just blurted out with hatred, and someone yelled, "You should be shot." It was also memorable because I wore my favorite shirt for all those pro-wolfers. Our first devastation came a couple years later. The wolves, up until this point, had been traveling through our ranch quite often, but we didn't have any depredations at that point. It was on March 12th that we had our first devastation, and you can see the pictures of our bull calf there. He wasn't dead when I found him. They claimed that it was a coyote attack, and we found out the next day after this poor little bull calf died. after the trapper came and he opened them up, that the wolf fangs were so deep you could see his finger, my finger stuck all the way through one of the fang holes. And but some of the things that happen with wolf attacks is the fangs don't necessarily pierce the skin or pierce the hide. So you might not see holes in the hide, but you do see it, the effect and the rot in the meat and the fat. We also had a cow dead those same 4 days. Her tail was gone, and that was a sign that wolves were in the area. Her newborn was missing as well, completely vanished. Normally, when there's a predator that attacks a calf or even a cow, there's some kind of evidence, an ear tag, a hoof, a hide, a tail. There was nothing. A second newborn was also missing within that time frame. And then we had a calf with wolf bites so serious, the infections were oozing out. She just had, when we shaved her hair, she just had these big balls all over her. They were wolf bite balls and just cyst or pus coming out of her hide. And it took months of doctoring and a huge vet bill. Who did it? These guys did. This is the whaleback pack. This is the pack that we have on and in and around our ranch. Aren't they beautiful? Margaret, where's Margaret? Do you need fabric wherever Margaret is? I got some fabric for you. These are her pups. So here is right here, this one under this since 21. This is mom, and these are her yearlings at this point. She has had, since 2021, over 39 pups. Last year, she had 10. She is considered one of the most prolific breeders in the West. We wait till April to find out how many more pups she is going to deliver to us. This is on I experienced a helicopter capture. It was quite fascinating. And the woman that you see here is my neighbor, Jana. We share a long fence line. And at this point, Jana's ranch is the most depredated on. They, at this point, have lost confirmed over 62. I think we're up to 64 now in 26. 64 animals, livestock, cows, heifers, steers, bulls, you name it, they've lost it. However, that doesn't include all the unconfirmed. So we think that they are closer to 100 animals, 100 livestock dead. But I thought it would be kind of fun, for the pro-wolfers to see a video of Jana. I was going to hop on the other box, but I wanted to take the video, and it's a terrible video, but I'm going to show you anyway. But I thought it would be so funny to, that this is the first time that this female wolf is collared, and I thought it would be so much fun to have the rancher who's been most affected by that wolf release her into the wild. So anyway, here's that. That's Mama. And then her daughter ran out and I messed up with the camera. Sorry about that. But there Mama goes. She's a little bit drunk. I wish she'd stay that way or even become a vegetarian, but. So you probably heard of the Bayam Sayo pack. This is the pack that was near Lake Tahoe. All those marks that you see on there, 3 minutes, oh my gosh. All those marks right there are 92 either kills or injuries. This happened within just 7 months. So this pack got taken out. They decided that they were going to euthanize this pack. This is an interesting slide. I think this is a slide that just came out from UC Berkeley. And you can see up here the blue. Whaleback pack is the blue. Bayam Sayo is this other color down here. You can see up there. And what this slide shows is that the whaleback pack, you see livestock down here, their diet is 94% cattle. They did wolf scat studies, and where the whaleback pack is in our neck of the woods, they are the largest wolf pack in the world eating cattle. Here's my ranch right here. This is where the wolves are right now. I got this text on December 28th, so just recently. This is from Fish and Wildlife. Hi, Debbie. 2 of the collared wolves were on you at 6 a.m. This is at 8:23 in the morning. It looks like they came from the north side of Solomon's Temple and came right down on us. If they had alerted me earlier, which they totally could have, I would have not have seen this. This is my prized replacement heifer. When I found her, I didn't see her ear tag. It wasn't until I moved her head that I fell to the ice, the frozen ground, and just cried. This heifer is like a once-in-a-lifetime heifer, and they killed her. And just to give you an idea of where how close the whaleback pack is right now to our cows that are calving, here's a little video. So our cows are, happy. They're getting ready to be fed. They're calm, which is what you need with wolf packs. You need your cows calm. You need them healthy, and you need to herd them to herd up at night. Right here, if I can stop this. Oops, I can't stop that. But anyway, there was a mountain there that you could see. I can walk to this mountain in 10 minutes. Walking is 10 minutes away from Solomon's Temple. And for the wolves, 50 miles in a day is no big deal. So living with these wolves is frightening. I have some other videos, but like what happened to my herd when they killed my heifer Trixie, it's amazing. They put themselves in the corrals for 7 hours. Dad put a bale of hay out. They would not come out of the corrals till I called them.
Our cows have been traumatized
and I called them out,
all day.
and now they're coming on their own, put themselves in the corrals.
Dad put out a bale
They
of hay
get
right
traumatized.
there, which normally they follow the tractor. Come on!
That's
I had
my
to call
cow
them,
voice.
literally.
Okay, so I just want to say that we have had the most amazing group help us, and I hope you look them up. The wolf situation has been horrible, but the one best thing that has come out of it is a group called WorkingCircle.org. They've worked with Colorado. They're amazing. They need support, and they are making a difference on the ranches. So anyway, thank you for letting me go over a little bit.
Hey, Margaret, do we have time for questions?
No, unfortunately, one of our next speakers has a time constraint, so.
Thank you all very much.
Yes.